Hello, 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 everyone who is here. Good to be back with a Saturday live English question and answer lesson. Hope you are having a good day. I hope you're ready to ask some questions, and I hope you're ready to hopefully learn some English. We'll start in about 27 seconds. Let me just check a couple things here to make sure that they are working. Sounds like everything is working right, so I can take my earbuds out. We'll be starting, as I said, when the timer hits 0 in about 10 seconds. So 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, hello, and welcome to this English question and answer lesson. If you're wondering what that is, there is a form, a link that will be provided in the chat. And also there's a link in the description below. If you click it, you'll go to a form and you can ask a question about the English language, and I will try my best to answer it. You can ask questions about me as well. That's totally fine. Hey, I do want to say hi to Stanislav, who has been a member for 2 months and says, hey in the chat, good to see you there. I am just going to do one little audio check as well. Excellent. Everything is working well. So I have to just update you that I don't usually watch the World Cup very much, but I did watch Brazil lose yesterday. So I'm sorry about that. Sorry to mention it. It's probably still a sad thing for you. And then I was a little bit sad too when the Netherlands lost yesterday. Am I getting it right? I think I got the details right. And then big match between England and France today. Who will Bob the Canadian cheer for? I'm not sure. Probably France. We'll see. Anyways, if I've gotten my World Cup statistics wrong, I apologize. The World Cup is not as big of a deal in North America as it is around the world. I'm not sure why football, or soccer as we call it, hasn't caught on a little bit more here. Anyways, enough about that. We should be talking about this. If you have a question, please ask it. We'll do this for about an hour. I'll try to answer the questions as best as I can. I do want to say hi to Lolly Lolly, Freddie Wolf, Mode Eggs. Dave the Canadian is here to moderate the chat, of course. When I scroll back, I see Anuat, Vitor, John from Brazil. Let me go back a bit more. Stanislav, of course, who I've already mentioned. And then a whole bunch of names saying hi right now. Senda and Josephine and Abdul and Carol, Lilac and Francisco. Someone is asking, what time is it right now? It is 10 a.m. in Ontario, Canada. So let me do one more audio check. And then let's go to the questions. Let me get the questions up on the screen. And let me go to my processing forum. There are already 7 questions. Very, very cool. So this is a philosophical question. I'll answer it. BM says, do you fear death, Bob? Yes, I really like life. I think that I've mentioned this before, when you have a major health concern, like I had a few years ago, you start to really value life. I would like to stay healthy and live as long as possible. Let's see, from Unsel. Hi, dear teacher Bob. How is it going? Is there any particular reason why you don't prefer to use a dishwasher, even though you already have a lot of work to do? Yes, there's 2 reasons why we don't have a dishwasher. We do our dishes together after every meal, usually after the evening meal. One is it gives us an opportunity to talk to each other and to our kids. It's actually good family time when you do some work together. And the second reason is because we have so many children, a dishwasher isn't really big enough to do all our dishes in a given day. So we will eventually probably get a dishwasher as the kids move out. They always joke with us that once they have all moved out, we'll buy a dishwasher, which is probably true. Renata has the next question, and we have here a nice flex and some sunglasses. Hello, Bob. What a great pleasure to see you again. You too, Renata. Enjoying great health. What's the difference between grieving and mourning? Thank you for everything this year, sir. So they are similar. We use the words interchangeably. You know, he's grieving the loss of his mom. Maybe someone's mom was older and passed away. They died. you would say he's mourning the loss of his mom, or he's grieving the loss of his mom. Both indicate sadness that occurs after somebody dies. And again, I use the phrase pass away. That is the common way to talk about someone dying in English. His mom passed away last week, a very sad situation. He is grieving the loss of his mom. He is mourning the loss of his mom. Let's see here. From Zhao Yu, hello, Bob. I want to ask what this sentence means. Bound by the surprise of our glory days. And what does bound mean? So bound means to be constricted or not being able to move freely or not being able to move ahead in life. It's a little complex. Your phrase basically means everyone has glory days. Someone could say that my glory days were when I was in my 20s. I was young and free and could do whatever I wanted. Those were my glory days. So when you look on your life, you could say, my glory days were when I was home and all my kids were little and we were just a happy family. Those were the glory days. But sometimes people have a really exciting time in their life, and then life might get boring, or there might be a lot more sadness. And then they're kind of stuck thinking about the days when things were really, really good. Hopefully I explained that well. A lot of philosophical questions this morning. Let's see here. David says there's a Linkin Park song called Paper Cut, and there is a line, I feel the light betray me. The question, why the light betray but not betrays? I feel the light betray me. Yeah, so it definitely has to be betray. I'm trying to think of why. Like when someone betrays someone, like I betray you, he betrays her. So when you have light, it's a singular. So even though light seems like there's a lot of it, you do have to say, I feel the light betray me. It's a very poetic line. Let's see here. Denis or Dennis, one of the two. When do we use it and that? For example, when you hear some sad news, what's the right way to say it's sad or that's sad? Thank you. So when you use it, you're speaking a little more generally. So if someone says, someone was running really fast and they tripped and they lost the race, you would say, oh, it's sad that happened to them. And then you could also say, that's sad. So I guess I use them interchangeably there. That's sad, it's sad. Because I can say it's sad to talk about a general statement, but I can't use that sad. Here's an example. It's sad when people train for a sport and then get an injury. It's sad. But if I want to use that, I have to talk about a specific incident. I have to say, Joe trained for his race and he couldn't finish it. That's sad. So it's sad can be used to talk about things in a little more of a general way. It's sad when people forget there's a live stream and then they don't come. Jimmy missed the live stream today. That's sad. That's the example I would give. It's very tricky though. It's even a little hard for me to explain. Okay, so here's something that's a little sketchy to explain, but I will explain it. Mike says, hi, Bob, could you define these? The feds. So the feds are generally used to refer to any level of a federal government or to the FBI in America. So in Canada, we have provincial government and federal government. I pay taxes to the federal government. And if they want money from me, I say, the feds want their money. But you will probably more likely hear this on TV when someone says, the police are coming. Oh, is it the police from the city? No, it's the feds. So let's look this up though to make sure. Meaning of the feds. A federal agent or official, especially a member of the FBI or a member of a federal government. There, I think I explained it rather well then. If I do, give myself a pat on the back. I don't know about cockroach related to people, but when you say to not get your panties in a wad, this is kind of a rude, informal way of saying that a woman is upset. So I wouldn't use that phrase. It's kind of crude, it's rude, and it's a little bit insulting. So don't use that phrase. You should know what it means though, because you might hear it in a movie or on a TV show. Jose says, "Hi, Teacher Bob. I would like to know the difference and when to use the terms somebody, someone, anyone. Thanks and regards." Well, let me give you an example of each of these in a sentence. Okay. Somebody stole my car last night. Someone stole my car last night. Does anyone know who stole my car last night? So I've used the first two interchangeably. Somebody ate the last cookie. Someone ate the last cookie. Does anyone know who ate the last cookie? So a little definition through example there. Hopefully that helps. Lolly says, "Allez la France." I don't know when the game is. Let's do a little search here. World Cup. And then if I go to brackets, it says that England and France will be playing in 4 hours, a little under 4 hours. So, allez la France aujourd'hui. Let's see here. So from Pedro, so I'm going to fix the sentence a bit. How to pronounce the connection between words ending with R and words starting with vowels. So let me think of it. I'm going to order a hamburger. I'm going to order a hamburger. I'm going to order a hamburger. Yeah, it starts to sound a little weird, doesn't it? Order a hamburger. He's going to, I got to think of another word that ends in R. Let's see. So we have never a borrower or a lender be. Never a borrower or a lender be. So you kind of roll the R right into the vowel. By the way, I'm not sure where that phrase comes from. Anyways, when a word ends in R, let me see if I can think of another one. He is going to lower a bucket into the well. He's going to lower a bucket into the well. Lower a bucket into the well. Just some examples. Hopefully that helps. Let me see. From Natalia. "Hi, Bob. Does the word grid mean electrical wires, pipes for cold, hot water, or gas, or all at once? Thanks. To me, the grid simply refers to all of the cables and wires that deliver electricity. When I think about the grid, I think about all of the cables and wires that hang along the roads and what is in place to bring me electricity. The grid for me does not refer to pipes or gas. The grid is simply electricity." Let's look that one up to make sure. Meaning of the grid. It's a cool word. A network of lines across. Nope, that's not it. Oh, they don't even have it as a definition. Meaning of the grid. Let me just do another little search here. The grid is used to refer to the electrical grid, which is a network of synchronized power providers that bring and transmission and distribution lines. So it's about electricity. It was hard to kind of read that for some reason. Let's see here. Next question from Ruslan. "Darling Bob, do you have speaking club for us? Do you have a speaking club for us? It's the best opportunity for us to improve speaking and other language skills. Thanks a lot." I don't. So the reason I usually give for this is that if I was to have some sort of club, I would want to make sure I have time to moderate and manage that club. And I simply don't have time for that right now. I do still teach at a high school. I do still go to work every afternoon. And I work about almost 2/3 to 3/4 of my day at a school as a high school teacher. Someday I might teach less and I might explore doing more things online, maybe one-on-one conversation coaching or something like that. But right now, I'm a little too busy to do anything more. Let's see here. Giovanni, "The World Cup is over for us." Me too. You just have to pick another team to root for, but your heart won't be fully in it. In English, when your heart is in something, you are excited about it. When your heart is not fully in something, it means you're just watching because you're interested, but you're not really that excited about it. But English lessons are always on the game. Mr. Bob, for today, my question is regards or regard instead of. Can you help us out? So at the end of a letter, you might end by saying, regards, Mr. Bob. That would be how I might end a letter. Or give my best regards to Jimmy when you see him. But regard is used a little bit more. Let's get a definition of regard and an example. Meaning of regard. Yes, she regarded Joe as an important person. So she thought he was that. And then you can use regard in regards to as well. I'm not doing a great definition of that. They are not words we use a lot in English either. I do recognize them. They are used. You will hear them. But when I speak English, I don't often say, I have a high regard for the French soccer team. I would probably say something like, I think they're awesome. Like that would be the more informal way to say it. And I wouldn't end a letter with warmest regards, Mr. Bob. I would probably just say, see you soon, Mr. Bob, if it's a casual letter. Josephine, hi, Bob. How can you discipline your kids? Is this parenting advice? I've mentioned this before. One of our main strategies when encouraging our kids to do what we wanted them to do was to restrict access to the internet. We would say things like, if you don't clean your room, you can't play a game on the computer this afternoon. Or if you don't do your chores, then you won't have access to the Wi-Fi. So that is one way in the modern world you can, I wouldn't use the word discipline, but you can encourage your kids to be good and to do good things. Let's see here. Ario, hello, question. Why do in English-speaking countries there are so many websites to watch TV shows, anime, cartoon, and movies to watch for free? What is your thought on this? I don't know. I just have Netflix and I have Disney Plus and I think I have Prime Video. And if it's on there, I'll watch it. I think because we spend too much time watching TV in North America. I think I watch a lot less TV than most people, but I still watch a lot of TV. So, Gizmo. Hi, Teacher Bob. What's the difference between lengthen and lengthy? Thanks. So if your shoelace isn't lengthy, you might need to lengthen it. So when something is lengthy, I use the opposite there. Like when you say something isn't lengthy, it's short, but when it is lengthy, it's really long. So you could describe a rope. The rope is really lengthy, or the rope isn't lengthy enough to reach to the floor below. And when you lengthen something, you make it longer. If you had a rope that was 3 meters long and you tied a rope to it that was 3 meters long, you would have lengthened the rope to be 6 meters. That is the definition. Hey, Brent's in the chat. Hi, Brent. Good to see you. Brent, hopefully your next, what do you have, a week or 2 weeks left? I hope it goes well. We are slowly crawling as teachers towards Christmas break in North America and other parts of the world as well. That's how I would describe it. We're slowly crawling. Let's see. Hi, Mr. Bob. I don't really have a question, but you seem very happy with your new tree, which is right here. Can't really see it. It actually kind of looks like a scary person standing in the corner. So maybe I should ask about it. Are you going to decorate it for Christmas? Deck out means decorate. Yes, you can deck something out, and that means to decorate it. No, I'm just going to leave it there. So far, it's very, very happy. I try to make sure that all the curtains are open so the room gets some natural light throughout the day, and hopefully the tree continues to grow and thrive. You know the English word thrive? Very difficult word to pronounce if you're learning English. When something thrives, it means it's healthy. When a small child is thriving, they grow and they have lots of energy, etc. Let's see here. Wagner says, good morning, Mr. Bob. I would like to understand, I'm going to add the word like, the practical usage of as a matter of fact. It seems that it is used when someone changes their mind quickly. Thank you. That depends. Like if you said to me, Let's see, what's a good example? If someone said to me, Bob, will there be a video Tuesday? I could say, as a matter of fact, there will be a video Tuesday. I haven't made it yet. I asked my editor today if I could send her the files later than normal, but as a matter of fact, there will be. So it's when you state something that is true that might be in doubt a little bit. Like if you went to someone's house and you said, oh, do you have something to eat? They could say, as a matter of fact, I just went to the grocery store recently and we'll have some cookies. Let's get an example. Meaning of as a matter of fact. People have been asking for me to give more examples every once in a while. Used to emphasize that something in reality is true and can be used to correct a falsehood. Have you seen Joe lately? As a matter of fact, I was talking to him this afternoon. So you're stating something that is true. Let's see here. Where's my next? Maxim says, hello, Mr. Bob. I've heard that Canada has big problems with the healthcare system. I'm going to add the. You may wait for a long time to visit a doctor. How do you think? What's the reason? So the reason is, so right now there is a bit of a delay. If you went to the hospital though, and you were having a heart attack, you would be helped immediately. But if you have a cold or the flu or a stuffed up nose or anything else similar to the lesson from yesterday, put a little plug in for that, you might end up waiting a bit. The reason is there's a few different things going around in Canada right now. There is a respiratory illness going around. There is flu going around, and we still have COVID going around. In particular, there's a respiratory illness going around that affects young children. And so our hospital system is a little busy. The other thing that has happened in Canada and in many other parts of the world is people have decided to not work in healthcare. So some of our nurses have found other jobs because it was very stressful to be a nurse or a doctor during the pandemic. So they are desperately in need of people in the healthcare system in Canada. And I think that's true in other places as well. Stannis, do children at school read 1984 and Animal Farm by George Orwell? They used to. It's less common now. 1984 was a common novel to read in high school, and Animal Farm as well. But I don't think it's used that much anymore. I think there's some more modern. In the chat, Adelia says, hi, Bob, again, is as a matter of fact similar to Indeed? Yes, Indeed can be used in a similar way. Do you have any cookies? As a matter of fact, I do. Do you have any cookies? Indeed, I do have cookies. Indeed sounds really formal, though. Like you would hear it on a like an old British television show or something. Indeed, I do indeed. Let's see. Next question. Rolling through. Nancy from Costa Rica. Hi, Teacher Bob. When you use neither or neither, can you use it to talk about three options? Example, teaching requires creativity, patience, and love, but I don't have. So here's how I would say that sentence. Teaching requires creativity, patience, and love, but I don't have any of those. So I wouldn't use neither to finish that sentence. I don't think that works. I would use any of those. Teaching requires creativity, patience, and love, but I don't have any of those. Someone's going to quote that somewhere and say that I actually said that. Let's see here. The other Ruslan, Mode Eggs in the chat, was joking that there's two Ruslans now. There are indeed. There might actually be three, but there's the main Ruslan. Hello, dear Teacher Bob. No questions today. I just want to thank you for your great and awesome lessons. You are a very kind and positive person. I try to be. When I was sick, though, I was not. I was cranky. I was a very cranky person when I was sick. Cranky means like not happy, and generally we use it to describe old men who are like grouchy and cranky. That's a good word for it. Let's see here. Yuri. Hello, sir. In Russian, we have the phrase, not for a village, not for a city, to describe a thing that doesn't fit anywhere. Is there any analogy in English? Be well. Let me see. Something that that doesn't fit in. Yeah, I can't think of something off the top of my head. So my brain is not running at normal speed today. Let me see. Something that, because we have the phrase odd man out. We have the phrase oddball. Yeah. Sometimes we'll say that it just doesn't belong, which isn't, I don't think, what you're looking for. But I can't think of a phrase right now or a term for something. Yeah. We have another phrase to try and put a square peg in a round hole, but I don't think that's exactly what you're looking for. Sorry, can't think of something. Ahmed says, hello, Teacher Bob. How are you? How do I use for, of, and to? Thanks. So very tricky. I bought a present for Jen. Oh, it's supposed to be a secret. No, I'm kidding. It's not supposed to be a secret. I bought a present for Jen. It is a box of chocolates. I'm going to give it to her next week. By the way, Jen's not watching this video right now. She's getting ready for market. But so I bought a present for Jen. It is a box of chocolates. I'm going to give it to her next week. And there are many, many examples of how to use them, and it's kind of confusing, but I gave you some simple ones there. I'm not able to explain in detail, Ahmed. It would be a much longer lesson, so sorry about that. So let's see here. Mode says, yeah, I could tell that Mr. Bob was cranky in the picture he shared when he was sick. I was very cranky. That's a good reference, Mode Eggs. Definitely I was cranky. Ma says, hi, Bob. Can you please make a lesson about planting and about seasonal plants, I think. A little bit of a misspelling there. Thank you so much for your work. I will try to do that at some point. I should do it. We have a lot of houseplants right now. I should do an English lesson on houseplants, about watering and about how much light they need and other things. Let's see here. Ashi says, I feel so nervous while talking with others. I want to build up my confidence. What should I do, Bob? So my recommendation is always, it costs money, but hire someone who is a conversation coach or a conversation tutor. Find a speaking partner who you can be comfortable talking to regularly, because repetition is the key. If you practice speaking English with someone who is kind and someone you trust every week, and if you do that for a year, you will be much more confident when speaking to other people. So find a way. There are websites like Cambly and Preply. There's a link below for Preply. There are many ways to find and pay someone to help you become a little more confident. Biggie Punk. So I'm going to fix the phrase. How do I politely say I farted? There's no polite way to say that you farted. By the way, farting is, I guess, the opposite of burping. Like when you burp, it's like, I'm not going to burp right now. Farting comes out the other end and usually smells. It depends who you're around. If you're home with your family and you smell something, you could say, who farted? And someone might giggle or laugh a little bit and say, it was me. But usually we don't talk about it. Usually we try to do that privately. I should do a whole lesson on bodily functions at some time, shouldn't I? That would be tricky but important. A tricky lesson to do, but important. Jerry, can you please tell me how to learn phonetics? It is for an exam. Thanks in advance. So I have not done a lot of work in this area, and I am not an expert. I am not aware of how to describe the different sounds we make. So I would say search for someone on YouTube who is an expert at teaching that, and maybe look for a book that has an accompanying audio tape or video. There's no audio tapes anymore, are there? That has audio files or video to help you with that. I know some things, and there's other things I do not know a lot about. I do not know a lot about phonetics. So let's see here. Harry's laughing in the chat that I said the other end. Yeah, I forget what the word is. Is it euphemisms? I use other words to describe parts of the body when I don't want to use the actual word. And then Brett says, no, please don't do a lesson on that. Yes, but everyone needs to learn all the English, Brent. So let's see here. Andy says, hello, Teacher Bob. I'm so grateful for your lessons. Let me fix my camera here for a sec. There we go. Oh, we're going to switch to members only mode after this. Did my focus stop working? Yeah, it did, didn't it? Sorry, this doesn't mean the lesson's over. It just means that my camera has decided to stop focusing. Let's see if we can force it to start. My camera loses its mind every once in a while. You remember that one time when I turned the camera off during a live stream and then it would turn back on for a few seconds? Is that better? Maybe not. I don't know. Should I just stop worrying about it? Stop worrying about it, Bob. It's not a big deal. People can hear you. That should be good enough. Hey, let's do the question though. Hello, Teacher Bob. I'm so grateful for your lessons. Your variety in different themes is a good aspect to improve my vocabulary. Thanks. You are welcome. You are very welcome. Hey, let me get to members only chat set up. Let me get that clicked. Where do I go here? Members. Turn that on. So what are we doing now? We are doing the members only chat portion of this lesson. Yeah, everything's working. That's good. Hey, what is members only chat? Well, if you are a member, if you clicked that join button, that's somewhere at one point. And if you decided to support me during a live lesson, you can ask a question in the chat. For about 10 minutes, I do members only. So I'm not going to worry about the focus because in the chat, Harry300 says, I can see you clearly, Bob. It's not a big deal. No problem. Lolly continues and says, Allez les Bleus. So France, of course, playing England today. That is what we would call a rivalry. When you have a sports team that plays another country or another city, and whenever they play, it's a very popular game. I would say England versus France is a great rivalry. It's probably very exciting to live in France or to live in the UK right now with that match approaching. Harry300 Bob, how do you call a letter that tells you have already given someone something and that person has already received it? It's called a handover letter or just handover or something else. I don't know. We would just say you would get confirmation that they received it. I'm not familiar with the term handover or handover letter. Given something and that person has already received it. Yeah, okay, so I might be understanding it wrong, but if I send someone something and then when they receive it, I'm told that they have received it, I would call that confirmation. I received confirmation that they received it. I might have misread your question, but that's how I would say it. Freddie Wolf says, hi, Bob. Lately, I heard a guy saying, I am pooped after having exercised too much. Is that rude or slang? It's a little bit slang. It's a little bit informal. People will say that, oh, I'm just pooped. After working all day, I'm just pooped. Freddie is asking if it's rude or slang because poop also refers to when you go to the bathroom and when you sit on the toilet, when you go poop. So when you say I'm pooped, it means you're tired. If you were to say I have to go poop, that means you have to go to the bathroom. And we don't usually announce that. You don't stand up and say that. Brent says, click the like button. Thanks, Brent. And John says, hello again, Bob. No question today. Just listening and laughing a lot with the other end that you said. Yes, I think that's the right way to politely describe it. Vitor says cat. So you might be wondering what cat means. So there is a company called Caterpillar, and they actually make things like bulldozers and stuff. But for some reason, they have started making clothing. I think it's the same company. Let me check. Yes. So the short form of the name of the company, Caterpillar, is cat. And this was, why do you think I bought this? Because it was reasonably priced. It was a good price and it fit and it's comfortable. But thank you, Vitor. Cat equals Canadian awesome teacher. Modeg says, hi, Mr. Bob. I always confuse a sweater with a sweatshirt. Do you have an easy way to distinguish between them? We would most likely call this a hoodie because it has a hood, okay? Also, I have some lint on me, apparently. So in my part of the world, in English, you would most likely call this a hoodie or a sweatshirt. When we talk about something like a sweater, it doesn't have a hood, and it's usually a larger knit. And it might be something that maybe your grandma made or something. I'm going to wear a sweater. It's made out of wool, or it's made out of really, really big thread or yarn. So hopefully I explained that well. I do not wear sweaters. I usually wear sweatshirts or hoodies. Freddie Wolf, allez la France, mais où sont les Anglais? Les Anglais ne doivent pas apprendre l'anglais. The English don't need to learn English. Puis ils ne sont pas ici. You heard my Québécois there a bit. I said puis instead of puis. Puis ils ne sont pas ici. Giovanni, Mr. Bob, when you're having a conversation and the phrasal verbs take up and take on comes to your mind, how would you use it? Well, take up can be used. Yeah, I'm going to take up guitar. I might take it up. It means to start learning something. Hey, are you going to take up English next year? Yeah, I'm going to take it up, which means to start learning it. To take on something, though, like I'm going to take on a few challenges next year. Let's get some formal definitions of that, though. Let's see here. Meaning of take up. To become interested or engaged in something. She took up tennis when she was younger. And then to take on. To hire someone. Yeah, we might take on a few more teachers next year. So that it means to hire someone. And then to be ready or willing to fight with someone. He was going to take on his boss in an argument the next day. Ooh, there you go. Let me see here. Where were we at? Giovanni, John, Brazil. Hello, Mr. Bob. No question today. I just want to say thank you for your videos. I love them. You are the best. Mode says, come to think of it, I have never seen you with your hood on. Maybe you should put it on for future thumbnail if you want to look like a badass. Yes, I could do that. I do put my hood on when I go outside if it's cold. It's really nice because it blocks the wind from hitting the back of my head. Giovanni has a big smile. Cecilia is here. Hi, Cecilia. Hello, Bob. Just to let you know, your videos are really useful. My English students love them. Thank you so much. You are very, very welcome. You know what? Interestingly, what I noticed, though, is when the World Cup started, the number of views my videos received every day went down. And as larger countries lost, my views would go up again. So the World Cup started and my views went down about 30% because I think 2 or 3 billion non-English speaking people watch the World Cup. It's very popular. And then whenever a really large country like Brazil lost, then my views from that country would go up again. My views from Brazil are much higher today because I think you guys maybe have lost interest in football for a bit. Let's see here. Anuat says, do you normally celebrate New Year's or just Christmas? Both. We go to a number of Christmas dinners and we usually go to a New Year's party with family. But it's getting harder to stay up till midnight every year. Giovanni says, if I'm someone who didn't spend money, would I consider myself thrifty? Yes, I would say you're thrifty. Or you would also say, you could say stingy. That has a negative connotation though. Or you could say you're very practical with your money. That's a nice way to say it. Or he's really good with money would be another description. Mode Eggs, check Bob's video about routine. Oh, yes. Mode says, as far as I remember, your bien sounds quite Québécois, peut-être. Or if I say pantoute, maybe then that sounds like I'm from Quebec as well. Hey, I'm going to leave members only chat up, and I'm just going to grab a question from the forum. Let's see here. Tom Fox says, outdoors in winter, you wear a short down coat. What do you call it? What do you call a down coat if it is long, knee length? the same. We would call it a winter coat. When I go outside in the winter, I wear a winter coat. It has soft down in it. You are correct. I usually like to buy coats that have a lick so I can keep warm, but I would simply call it a winter coat regardless of how long it is. Bowden has joined the channel. Hi, Bowden. Welcome, and thank you for becoming a member. John says, yes, I know, Bob. Unfortunately, Brazil lost yesterday. Now I'm rooting for Argentina. Just a slight change in geography, and you have a team to cheer on. Lolly says, welcome to Bowden, and Sandro says, hi. Hi, Sandro. Let me get another question here. Apple the Frog. Hi, Bob. How are you? My question is, what's the difference between Christmas or Xmas and Christmas? Are they the same? Thanks for your answer. They are the same. You will see both, and people will read both as Christmas. When I see Xmas, I don't say Xmas. I just say Christmas. And I think one's just shorter, so it's easier to fit on things. Could be. From the chat again, Giovanni. One thing I did when I started watching your videos was record a video speaking in English to get it registered. And trust me, Mr. Bob, you do magic with others' English. Very cool. I am happy to hear you're doing something like that. That's a great technique to record yourself. It's always weird when you listen to yourself after you record yourself. It can sound a little bit funny. Let me see here. I just have to do a quick lookup for a sec. I don't know what this word means that someone's asking me to say. Yes, I don't know how to say it. Let me see if I can get it here. Yep, I don't know how to say it at all. I need to learn how to say this word. I believe that if I were to put this into Google Translate, I might be able to get it. Franklin, let's see here. Wait a sec. Let's go with the last questions down here. Bowden says, hi, Bob. How do you pronounce the words either and neither in Canada? So either or either, neither or neither. I use both pronunciations. I don't know why. My only explanation could be that there might be a British pronunciation and an American, and because Canada is a mix of both, sometimes I say both. So this is the example I always use when I go to town. I either take my blue van or my red van. I either take my blue van or my red van, but neither van is warm when I start it right now because it's cold outside. Let's see here. Let's get a question on the screen. Let me turn off members only chat. Let me do that first. Sometimes I forget to do that. And once again, thank you to all of you who are members. You're awesome. Thank you. It's fun doing members only chat. I like that part of the live lesson. Okay, this question is challenging for me. Hi, Teacher Bob. What's the difference between further and farther? So there is apparently a difference between the two, but if you listen to me talk for a week, I will use these words interchangeably. So if someone said, where does Jim live? I would say, you need to go farther down the road, or you need to go further down the road. The official difference, let me find the official difference. Difference between further and farther. I'm convinced that we will only have one word at some point. It becomes silly to have two words when we start to use it interchangeably. People use further and farther to mean more distance. However, American speakers favor farther for physical distances and further for figurative distances. Oh yeah, so I have to drive farther down the road. I have a lot further to go before I become a doctor, if you were in school, for instance. But honestly, I use them interchangeably, and that might be technically wrong, but it's just the way it goes. Let's see here. So Ormond says, hello, Bob. Gig, eco, do you know what that means? So together, no, but I know a gig is a way to refer to a job. In particular, if let's say I was a musician, I might have a gig tomorrow night at a local restaurant. I might go and play guitar. I might have a gig. It means they've hired me to come and play some music. Eco is a short form for ecological or anything to do with the environment, even economy a little bit. But generally, if something is eco-friendly, it means it's good for the environment. It has become a short form for that. Mode says, yeah, members only chat is more interesting than talking about bodily stuff. Yes. Dave says, I saw that question about further versus farther in the forum, and I realized I had no idea whether there was a difference. Yeah, there are some things, Dave, where when people ask the question, that's when we realize as native speakers that we have no idea why we choose one or the other. Like, it requires further study. See, I wouldn't use farther there. It requires further study. There is a difference, because I would not say it requires farther study. That's wrong. So interesting. I will have to, it requires further study. I'll just say that again. Tina has the next question. Let's see here. Hello, Bob. I quite like this book. Does quite here mean very much or to a certain extent? It means you like the book a lot. I quite like taking a nap on Saturday afternoons. It means I really like taking a nap. I quite like doing live streams. It means I really like doing live streams. Quite is an interesting word. I might do a little lesson on that. Maybe Tuesday's lesson should be on that. Because if I say it was quite a bit of work, it means it was a lot of work. I quite like it. It means I like it a lot. He was quite late. It means he was really late. It's an interesting word. Maybe I'll think of a bunch of random sentences to illustrate all of the different uses. Let's see here. Brent says I use further and farther pretty much interchangeably too. Yes, I would say that. Let's see here. Giovanni says I like Saturday's lesson because we can see what's going on in people's minds. Yes, it definitely helps all of us to get to know each other a little bit more. Let's see here. Oh, and Arone is here. Hi, Arone. Let me get the next question. Where are we here? Let's see. Rasandi, hey, Bob, I want to move to Canada, so what is the best way to do it? Well, my understanding is the number one best way to move to Canada, like if you want to get permission to move here, is if you speak French. Canada is a bilingual country. The province of Quebec and the government of Canada are always looking to encourage French speakers to move here so that we can remain a bilingual country. So if you're not a French speaker, that's okay. You can still come here. I usually recommend that you search Google for Government of Canada immigration guidelines. And that will take you to a website that will tell you what you need to do and what the possibility is of you moving to Canada. So let me see here. In the chat, Mode says, farther is the comparative form of far. Further means something like in addition, additional or extra. Yes, I would agree. He went far, she went farther. But I would actually say further there. It's probably wrong. Like he ran really far, but she ran further. Yeah, I think we've really messed up those two words. We should just make one word out of it. Then Mode says, in spoken informal, though, they can be used interchangeably. It's similar to lie versus lay. Yes, definitely. And I get called out on lie versus lay a lot because I'll say I'm going to lay down or I'm going to lie down. And only one of them is correct. Mode says, if you want to be the safe side, always use further. Yes, that is great advice. Further would always be correct. Okay, let me get the next question here. This is from Freddie. Fred says, Fred, hope we're going to win. Hi, Bob. This is about Les Bleus. It's about France playing this afternoon. Hi, Bob. No further question. But I want to tell you that I sincerely appreciate the amazing work you do. Thanks so much, Bob. You're welcome. And thank you for the great example sentence using the word further. And again, in this situation, you can't use farther. It just wouldn't make sense. But you could say, hi, Bob. No further question. But great. That's good. Let's see here. In the chat, Cecilia, I'm just jumping between the forum and the chat. So Cecilia says, at the University of La Plata, we do some research on those words used by native English speakers interchangeably. Oh, very cool. Yeah, when you start to study a language, you find out very cool and interesting things. In in Argentina. Very cool. Okay, next question. I am out of questions, everyone. If you have a question, you should go to the forum and ask it. Maybe Dave can put the link in. We do have 10 minutes left, and I'm happy to chat about anything during the last 10 minutes. And if you're one of the 383 people here, you should click this subscribe button. I think that's where it is. We'll see if some questions roll in the next little bit. This is from Olga. It's interesting because it's not actually prohibited. Why are French people prohibited to move into Canada? They are not. You can totally move to Canada if you are a French speaker. In fact, as I said earlier, if you want to move to Canada and you speak French, you would probably have an easier time moving to Canada. Let's do a search for this. Does Canada welcome French-speaking immigrants? Let's get it. There's an initiative in 14 areas of the French-speaking areas of Canada to welcome and support French-speaking newcomers into their communities. This is led by the Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship Canada Francophone communities inside and outside of Quebec. Let's see here. In recent years, the Canadian government has been stepping up its efforts to attract French-speaking immigrants to communities across Canada, including Quebec. To encourage continued Francophone immigration growth, the government has set a target of 4.4% of Francophone immigrants settling outside of Quebec by 2023. Yeah, if you speak French, it'll probably be pretty easy to come to Canada. Same says yes. Okay, there we go. And then let me get, should we just wrap this up, folks? We can just wrap it up. Let me just scour the chat. Mode says, does your throat still feel scratchy? Learn English with, yes. It still feels a little bit off. I still feel like it has not quite fully recovered. I am going to rest my voice for the rest of the weekend. And I have a fairly light teaching day on Monday. So I'm not too worried. I think I should be in good shape. But whatever's going around here takes people about 2 weeks before they feel 100% again. By the way, if I'm using a lot of words and phrases you don't recognize, you should watch this lesson on sickness that I did yesterday. And a shorter version will be coming out tomorrow as well. Giovanni in the chat says, Mr. Bob, is it true that in Quebec people usually refuse to speak English? My friend from the UK moved to Calgary and she said that French speakers don't like speaking English. It is the same as it is in every part of the world. French speakers in Quebec who have a very good level of English are quite happy to speak English with you. But similar to many of you, some people in Quebec don't have a great handle on the English language, so it's hard to speak English. So it really just depends who you run into, and I'll guarantee you most people in Canada are friendly. Bowden says, how do you greet people on a scale from friend to strange older person? A friend, I would just say, hey, how's it going? And someone like a stranger who's older, I would say, I would probably say, hi, my name is Bob. Nice to meet you. That's probably how I would greet them. They would most likely be introduced to me, though. If I didn't know them at all, I would say, excuse me, hi, I'm wondering if you could help me find the library. Okay, so I would probably just be very, very polite. Lolly says, thank you, no problem. Vitor says, thank you, always enjoyable. Mode says, to the best of my knowledge, being able to speak French always gives you an edge if you want to immigrate to Canada. Yes, I believe so. Let's see, Lolly's saying ciao. Cecilia says, an Argentinian friend of mine who moved to Canada told me Canada is immigrant friendly. Yes, we have a lot of ways to support immigrants. We try our best. We're not perfect, but we do the best we can. Let me check the question form, everyone. Nope, we're good. This is the end. We're a little bit early, but that's okay. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for learning a little bit of English. Remember, there is a short version of yesterday's lesson, this lesson, coming out tomorrow. There will be a new video. Sorry about that. There will be a new video on Tuesday if I can get that together before then. We'll be back on track next week. So there will be 2 short lessons on my other channel, Wednesday and Friday. There will be a live lesson next week, Friday. There will be a new video lesson on Tuesday, and we'll just keep moving along at that pace. I hope that all works out. Brent in the chat, one last thing. My state borders Quebec. You should attempt speaking a few words of French first. They will probably be happy to switch to English. I think everyone appreciates it when you try to speak their language. It's just a fun feeling, isn't it? When someone makes the effort to do that. Anyways, bye to Vitor Mahitik, Mode Eggs. Bye, Dave. Thanks for helping out again. Bye to Lolly, Anuat, and everyone else. I'm going to click the end button, and I'm going to have a relaxing day, hopefully. We'll see. Nice to see all of you again, and have a good rest of your weekend. Bye.